cryptids who live and thrive in the remotest corners of the world, the surviving dinosaurs are among the most fascinating and exciting. You may have already heard of the mokele-mbembe traveller. Mokele-mbembe is quite possibly the most famous surviving dinosaur and is easily one of cryptozoology's most recognisable icons. In this video, however, we'll be taking a look at 10 prehistoric creatures that you may not have heard of. The Ropen, a pterosaur that makes its home on New Guinea island, Papua New Guinea. Its name when translated means demon flyer. The Ropen is described as being featherless and to have a wingspan of 12 feet or more, both hallmarks of the prehistoric pterosaur. Unlike the ancient pterosaur, however, the Ropen is said to exhibit bio-luminescence, glowing as it glides across the night sky. It subsists mainly on fish, again like its prehistoric ancestors, though it has also been reported to consume rotting human flesh, primarily through grave robbing. As is often the case with cryptids, those who wish to cover up the Ropen's existence began circulating rumours that the creature is merely a story cooked up by creationists. However, this is patently false, as it is a matter of record that the Ropen was first spotted in 1935 by famous biologist and entomologist Evelyn Cheeseman, who was held in very high regard in the scientific community at the time. If we can't trust a respected scientist, then who can we trust? Moving across now to the Congo, Central Africa, home to quite possibly the most surviving dinosaur species on the planet. Home to the infamous mokele-mbembe and the terrifying Kasai Rex, the deep, dark jungles of the Congo are a place where time stands still. Though saying this, the dinosaurs and pterosaurs of the Congo, while resembling their prehistoric ancestors, have had tens of millions of years worth of isolation and evolution directing their course. The Nguma Monene, a serpent-like creature that dwells in the Congo's swampy areas, is between 30 and 50 feet long, amphibious, is greyish-brown in colour, and has a serrated ridge along its spine. Is the Nguma Monene a highly evolved Spinosaur? Possibly. The Spinosaurus lived in Africa, not far from the present-day Congo. It could be that the Spinosaurus survived for a while longer than previously thought, and has spent millions of years becoming the present-day Nguma Monene. The Nguma Monene, living in the Congo, lives in close proximity to the Emela-Ntouka, and the two may even cross paths on occasion. While the Emela-Ntouka seems to be an evolved ceratopsid, with possible ancestors including the Styracosaurus or the Triceratops, this cryptid dino is by no means a peaceful herbivore. The name Emela-Ntouka, when translated, means elephant killer. It is slightly larger than an African elephant, which it actively hunts and kills, and weighs around 6 tons. Its body is similar in shape to the rhinoceros, but with a large, heavy tail, and shares its characteristic long horn on its snout. According to eyewitness reports, it has no frills on its neck. It could be that with less large carnivorous predators around after the cataclysmic extinction level event that killed most of the dinosaurs, the ceratopsid from whence the Emela-Ntouka came may have evolved in such a way as to lose its frills and become more rhino-like in appearance. Not all prehistoric herbivores have taken a carnivorous evolutionary turn, however. The Muhuru, which makes its home in the African country of Kenya, is most likely descended from the stegosaurs, judging by its appearance. The Muhuru possesses similar bony plates that run along its back and down to the tip of its tail, like the Stegosaurus. At the tip of its tail, where the Stegosaurus possessed a thagomizer, the Muhuru has a bony club, which is more in line with the Ankylosaurus. Is it an evolved stegosaur that developed a club over millions of years? Or is it an ankylosaur that developed bony plates? Until a specimen can be captured, we may never know. In the Andaman Islands, near India, the Jirmu haunts the forests, killing anyone and anything that it comes across. It was first written about in the Myths and Legends of the Andamans in 1922 by A.R. Radcliffe Brown. Said to be a theropod and possessing a large green frilly collar, it would seem that the Jirmu is a surviving Dilophosaurus or a relative thereof. Tens of millions of years of evolution seems to have granted the Jirmu's skin with a fluorescent tint similar to the bioluminescence present in the previously mentioned Ropen. While not much information is available on this dino cryptid, we do know that it's still very much feared by the Andamanese natives. Heading now to the United States of America, we'll be looking at a dino cryptid that was sighted in July of 2008 in Georgia. An 18-year-old man and his grandfather were out deer hunting one night when they came across an animal that they described as looking like a raptor from the popular Jurassic Park movies. The witnesses reported that the creature appeared about 150 feet in front of them and was around 5 feet high at the shoulder. Believing that the creature looked like it was a fast runner, with its strong hind legs, they remained perfectly still and observed it for a short time. It seemed to, shortly after appearing, raise its head and sniff the air, probably detecting the two witnesses who were only a stone's throw away from it. It then turned and ran back into the bushes, and as far as we know, it hasn't been seen again since. The Arica Monster is yet another surviving raptor, with this one making its home in the baking hot Atacama Desert of Chile. The South American continent is said to be home to a number of living dinosaurs. This one is said to be 6 feet tall, bipedal, and possess extremely sharp teeth. It leaves 3-toed footprints in the desert sands and lives in caves near water sources where it can stay cool. While some describe it as a dog-faced lizard, the majority believe it to be a surviving member of the dromaeosaurid family of dinosaurs. The creature was first spotted in 1980, but a great number of reports were made in 2004 by members of a large local family. Back in the United States, in Lake Champlain, which sits on the border between the US and Canada, we have a plesiosaur-like cryptid which has been described as America's Loch Ness Monster and is affectionately referred to as Champ. I know what you're thinking, traveller. Technically, plesiosaurs are not dinosaurs, and of course you're correct, but a prehistoric beast is a prehistoric beast, and frankly, plesiosaurs are pretty cool. While there is no hard scientific evidence for Champ's existence, there have been many sightings, and a 1977 photograph, seen here, taken by amateur photographer Sandra Mincy, has been called Champ's version of the surgeon's photograph, the most iconic image of the Loch Ness Monster. The creature was even caught on film in 2005 by two fishermen, Dick Affolter and his stepson Pete Burdett. Watch this footage and judge for yourself, traveller. Today we have looked at the Ropen, a flying pterosaur, we've looked at the peaceful herbivorous Muhuru, and also a possible herbivore turned carnivore, the Emela-Ntouka. We've seen raptors and we've seen a gigantic aquatic reptile in the form of Champ, the surviving plesiosaur. But as yet, we haven't seen any large carnivorous theropods. Until now. In South America, there is a large carnivore, which is between 20 and 25 feet long. It has a short snout but a tall head. It has thick skin, tough and arrow-proof, meaning the South American natives of times past had quite the fight on their hands whenever they came across one. It eats tapirs and capybaras, but has also been known to kill and eat humans. With its 2 horns on either side of its head, it can mean only one thing. The Stoa, as it's known today, is a surviving Carnotaurus. The Stoa is big, but the last dino cryptid on our list today is even bigger. In Partridge Creek, an area within Yukon Territory, Canada, we have what many believe to be a surviving Ceratosaurus. An enormous 50 feet long and weighing around 40 tons, this carnivorous monster is the bane of the local moose and caribou herd's existence. It has razor-sharp teeth, boar-like bristly hair, and is a solid black colour, which allows it to blend in perfectly with the dark forested areas it calls its home. It leaves footprints that are 5 feet long, 2.5 feet wide, and has claws that are around 1 foot long each. The Partridge Creek beast has been spotted twice that we know of, once in 1903 and again in 1907, but hasn't been seen again since.